Peaceful protest.
With your mask on. Turn around and look at your brothers and sisters in their eyes and tell them that you love them.
I love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all. I love y'all. Come on, it's love. It's love. Yeah.
Love you guys.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
This is peace. This is love.
Everybody's saying they
We love y'all.
strangers. We don't even know each other.
We want you to make it home safe each and every night.
Yeah.
We need you to. We need our kings in this community. We need y'all. We love y'all. We stand here right before y'all.
Might be able to fix it tomorrow for us. It continues with them.
This isn't red, this isn't blue. It's not Democrat, it's not Republican. This is humanitarian. Like, this is human. This touched each and every one of us in different ways.
Oh, you signed up, Chief. Hold that thing up. Hold it up, brother. Hold it up. Hold it up.
Yes, sir.
Hold it up. Hold it up.
Brothers, we see you. We see you.
About not just our community, but what's going on the national level. So thank you.
Next up, I want to introduce your District 2 Councilwoman, Ms. Debbie Nash-King.
We can do better than that, Killeen. Give it up for her.
And I thank whoever the organizers for putting this on, because it starts here. And in order to make this change, we must educate ourselves on the policies and laws that govern us: injustice, hardship, quality and equality of life. That's how we start to make our changes. And I am here for you to make and help you come up with solutions that will have an impact on the next generation, so that they all can walk together in unity, and racism will no longer be an issue, but togetherness will. Thank you.
I think this is a unique opportunity. Many of the protesters do not have this image that I thought was just extremely important to have. I know some of us feeling different about police as a whole, but I'm proud of our police department here, and I felt it was extremely important to bring out our chief of police. Here we go. Good evening, Queen. How's everybody doing tonight? Are you sure? How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
We have seen some bad things on the national stage, and it's so beautiful that we all can come together and not perpetrate everything that we've seen. I had some prepared remarks, but on the way here, I said, you know what, Chuck? I'm just going to speak from the heart. Okay. So about a week ago, just like everyone else, I saw the incident in Minneapolis, and it was late at night, and it hadn't quite hit the national stage, and I wasn't sure. I had dozed off, and I woke back up, and I saw an image of a police officer with his knee on a citizen, and I wasn't really sure what I was seeing. I kind of collected my thoughts, and a friend of mine, he's in another time zone, and I said, "Hey, man, are you watching TV?" He goes, and replied back, he says, "Yeah." I said, "Is this real?" And he said, "Unfortunately, yes." So as I continue to watch TV, and I went to work the next morning, I talked to staff. I said, "Hey, did you guys see what was going on in Minneapolis?" And a few haven't, and a few had, and we all watched the video, and collectively we said, "This is a problem. This is a problem." I talked to my administrative assistant. She hadn't seen the video, and she said, "Chief, what are you going to do?" So I stopped and I thought, and I talked to some people, some of the people on stage I talked to, and I said, we're better than this. And as I looked at those images, I kind of looked at them at three different eye sets, 3 different lenses. The first one I looked at as a human being, because I saw a human being with his knee on the neck of another human being while that life went out from him. And I was disgusted. That's the first word that came to my mind. People say, well, how do you feel? I was disgusted at what I saw. The second set of lens that I looked through that image was I looked through to my professional lens. I saw a man who wore the same badge that I wear, using what appeared to be truly unnecessary force, while he had tried to effect the arrest, and the life went out of that person. And I was truly disgusted again. And the last lens that I looked out as a black man, I said, this isn't right, what I'm seeing. Those 3 different lenses came together. I got with the staff and we talked it over, and I said, we can't let the things that happen throughout the country happen here in Killeen. Our community is better than that. We have heroes here that fight the good fight, been fighting this fight wars for 20 years. We got true heroes here.
Yeah.
These people in Killeen know about freedom. They have went over in foreign lands and fought for our freedom, so we can protest today. And look at us right here now, different races, creeds, and colors out here doing our thing, peacefully protesting.
Yeah.
And I told my staff as we prepared for the events of yesterday and the events of today, I said, no matter what happens, guys, every briefing we started out, we would not infringe on anyone's right. You have rights. You have the right to protest. You have the right to say what you want. You have rights to assembly and come together. You have rights to tell your children what you saw was wrong. And we as a police department, we will stand with you. We will make sure that your rights are infringed on. And we will work every day for that. That what we saw throughout the country would not happen here. We will meet with anybody. We will talk with anybody. We will sing. We will shake hands. We'll hug. Not too close because of Corona. But we will share together. We will be upset together. Because if you're not upset with what you saw, something's wrong. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So just know that you have a police force that will stand with you. We will talk with you. And we will be there with you. However this ends up going. Thank you, Killeen. And whatever we can do for you, we're nothing but a phone call away. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I'm just so glad that they're not making this a race war, man. That narrative just keep on getting
Next, I want to bring up, am I good? Can y'all hear me? Okay. Next, I want to bring up a good friend of mine, a fraternity brother of mine, and also a candidate for city council in November, Kim Wilkerson.
Woo, 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 woo.
Killeen, what are we doing here tonight? In 2020, what are we doing here tonight? I grew up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. For a lot of people who don't know, that's the home of the Klan. I grew up 50 years ago being chased through a community because I didn't have the right color. When I did that, I said I was going to make it a better place to where my kids didn't have to do the same thing. I made that promise to myself that I would not have my kids have to go through the same thing. I didn't want them to have to even see it. So why are we here? Because we're sad. Because we had somebody taken away from us unnecessarily. We had somebody taken away from us in plain sight, inhumanely. Like the chief said, if you can look at that video and not see another human being having the life taken out of them, something's wrong. I'm angry because I have to explain to some people, not you, not the ones that are here, not the ones that are being peaceful. I have to explain to them why a young lady in a Central Park can decide to pick up a phone and weaponize the police against another human being.
Yeah.
This is 2020. We shouldn't be going through this. I'm angry because I have to explain to that person who asked me, why did she think she could get away with that? She's not the problem at that point. You're the problem because you haven't noticed what's going on. You haven't noticed that the system is in place to allow that to happen. To embolden people to think that they can do that. We can't allow that to happen. The silent majority can't keep quiet any longer.
Yeah.
When I was asked to speak tonight, I didn't have a clue of what I was going to say because I was so irate. But I know that anger, if not focused in a positive way, is no better than what we saw in that video. So my heart is full right now. When I can look out here and I can see you, like the Chief said, or Dr. Buckley said, when I can see America, this is America out here. They came together and said, no, that's enough. That's enough. So Killeen, we can't let this just be an event. This has to be a movement.
Yeah.
When I asked the organizers, hey, who put this together? They said Killeen did. That's the energy we need to take and continue down the road. Now, the decisions we make from beyond here are going to have to be decisions to do with a system, not to do with an individual person. So we need to make sure, I can't stop a racist from being a racist. You're not going to do that. But I can change a system to penalize a racist for doing racist things.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad. Thank you, organizers, for putting this together. Brother John, thank you very much for allowing me to come and get this off my chest. And it's not gone. It's still on my chest. This needs to be a priority for the world. Hey, we need to take an opportunity right now, because right now, the United States is in a national decision-making mode. The eyes of the world are on us. We've tried for centuries to get this right. The whole idea and the dream behind a melting pot. This is one of those decision points. We're at a decision point, folks. Are we going to come together, or are we going to keep ripping each other apart? So make this a movement, folks. Get engaged. Part of the system is voting.
Yeah.
Make sure you know who you're voting for. Make sure you know what they stand for.
Policy over platitudes.
There you go. Hey, thank you for having me out tonight. I'm sure that anybody right now could get up here and speak for hours on the feelings that they have. I'm just glad that you allowed me to do it. Hey, get involved, Killeen. Again, this is a movement. Thank you very much.
Next, guys, we're going to have Mr. Free My City himself. Y'all give it up for the Royals Everton, guys. Give it up for him. Oh, come on, there's a whole lot of us out here, man. What's going on, Killeen? I'm trying to get that sound right so y'all can hear me good. Listen, I go by the name of Levalis. I'm an artist out here in Killeen, man, and Killeen's my home, and I love it here, and I love just seeing everybody coming together, man. I'm pretty sure
a lot of us that's sitting out here right now, you know, we hurt. You know, we motivated and we coming together, but it's a lot of us hurt, man. If you hurt and you feeling that pain, man, just put your hand up with it. Yeah, you feeling that. I feel that same pain that a lot of you felt when I watched that video, man. My heart was bleeding. And before I get into my song, I want to say something, man. If I can say anything, if it's for you or maybe before the people that's watching your live stream right now that may not even be in the city, but they watching it. I want to say, man, during this time, don't allow everybody's different opinion about the matter and divide you, man. Like, don't allow, you got people screaming all lives matter. There's upset people that's saying black lives matter. It's a whole lot of wars going on social media. Family members getting into it, friends getting into it because we can't come to grips or agreement with what's going on in the world today. You know, if I can say something, man, I feel like at this time right now, it's a whole lot of issues that we're going to address. I've heard people saying, well, we got to talk about the black on black crime and how we killing each other. I want to tell people, we're going to get to that. But you got to treat this very sensitive. You got to treat this like a surgery, man. You get shot and you start bleeding, the first thing they want to do before they perform a surgery on you is they got to stop the bleeding. That's the most important thing at the moment, is to stop the bleeding. Once we stop that bleeding, then we can get down and get you in the hospital, get you stabilized and get you calm and get you ready for a surgery, get you ready to be operated on. That's the state of America right now. Black people is bleeding. So they riding, they going crazy, they slamming things, they angry, they hurt because we bleeding. We bleeding. So if you want to help the black community, this ain't the time to be arguing and trying to debate. They ain't trying to hear that. The best thing to do is what we did in the beginning of this thing. We start loving on one another. They depend on it. So how you stop the bleeding? You apply pressure. You apply pressure to the wound. You apply pressure to that scar. Well, you say, well, how do you apply pressure? By doing exactly what we did in the beginning of this. We started embracing one another, holding one another, saying that we love one another. That's how we do that. I wrote this song called Angry Black Man. And if y'all will allow me, man, I just want to share the song with you. Can I do that? I want to talk about in this song, so I give it context. I'm addressing the stereotype that when black men speak out, we're labeled angry. When black women speak out, they're labeled angry. I'm gonna talk about it. A little bit more music.
Angry black man. Black man, black man. Yeah. Black man. Why you looking sad? Yeah.
Say, black man. Why you looking sad? Why you always looking so downcast? Black man. Why you never smile? You don't look friendly, so we never come around. Angry, you gon' say, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. You say, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. You say, they like, black man, why you never show emotion? Cause every time we do, they label it commotion. We got black queens, but they think they ghetto. Cause they body parts is real and their hair is natural. They say it's unprofessional to have an afro. And if your job is white collar, then you know how that go. Better learn to dress the part and play them politics. Better learn to shake some hands and give acknowledgments. And don't expect to be acknowledged for your accomplishments. If your skin is black, you better have tight skin. You gotta smile when it hurts, so keep a tight grin. And be careful who you call friend. Angry black man, why you looking sad? Why you always looking so downcast? Black man, why you never smile? You don't look friendly, so we never come around. You gon' say, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. You say, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. Say, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. I wonder what they think about us. I wonder would they ever love us. Please take a walk in my shoes. Through the hate, we gon' still love you. I have to love you, I have to smile. I have to calm down, I have to figure this out. I have to play along well. I have to turn the other cheek when y'all are stopping through the crowd. I have to have some patience for justice, but just in case I don't get it, I have to learn to forgive you right now in advance. I have to wait for my
my chance, just to ask for a chance. I got to be better than better and greater than greatest. I had to have some degree just to sit at your table. Had to be smart, I got to learn the language you talk. I got to have that conversation on cops. I have to deal with being profiled when I'm driving my car. I have to fight for my success cause y'all don't let us get far. We can't thrive inside your system so we have to get ours. Dear racism, I'm a black man and I'm proud. Knowing that my forefathers paved the way for me, that's slavery. I will never bow to your slavery. Look at me, tell me what you see when you look at me, now look at me. Tell me what you see when you look at me, now look at me. Tell me what you see when you look at me, now look at me. I show my feelings, but you call me angry. Hey, say black man, why you looking sad? Why you always looking so down cat? Black man, why you never smile? You look friendly, so we never come around. Say,
Angry black man.
See, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated.
Angry black man.
I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated.
Angry black man.
I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated.
Angry black man.
I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. I wonder what they think about us. I wonder would they ever love us. Please take a walk in our shoes. And through the hate, we gon' still love you.
Yeah.